All right, guys, so for those of you that are familiar with my family and have followed our lives and have also followed my podcast, you know that last week was an extremely difficult week for my family as a whole and for each of us individually. Last week was extremely difficult, and we kind of had to say goodbye to my parents for somewhat, for a little bit of time, for the foreseeable future. And that was really tough. And I haven't filmed a podcast since then. The podcast that's going to be airing today that you're watching was filmed prior to my life falling apart. So it may seem happy-go-lucky. And during that time, I think it's because there was a lot of hope that was had. I wasn't faced with the reality of the situation. So I just kind of wanted to throw this in there to address that, because I know a lot of people are going to be like, whoa, what is this? This was kind of pre-life falling apart. And now podcasts that I do going forward will be post. So I hope that kind of helps you understand things. This episode was filmed on January 12th, which is my mom's birthday, and it's always such a beautiful day because birthdays mean so much to me and my family. So I just hope that you can enjoy this lighthearted episode that I filmed with my producer, Aaron, and just kind of feel where I was at that day. Feel the joy and the happiness and the love that I was feeling so deeply on January 12th. And I hope you can feel it. Next week, I will have a very intense one-on-one podcast with myself, kind of giving an update on where my life's at, where things stand, how the kiddos are, nanny, all the above. And give an update on my parents, because you guys don't have one yet. And I'm really looking forward to giving that update, because I've seen God work in the craziest of circumstances. So until then, I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast. And thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for supporting me, my family, and Unlocked.
You just got to be different, huh?
Check. Okay.
All cameras are good?
Okay.
I'm already laughing.
Oh,
you were ready before me.
Yeah.
It's literally a late Christmas
No, we're
miracle.
talking about it.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll give you you get credit for that.
Welcome back to Unlocked, guys. I'm so excited for today. Well, because we're already laughing and it's like 9 a.m. And I have Aaron on with me today.
The weird Wizard of Oz voice.
Yes.
From all the other podcasts.
From all the other podcasts. So for those that don't know, Aaron has helped like this whole podcast come to life literally from the very beginning, from the title, from all the crap literally that has to be done on the back end.
There's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot. And you helped it all come to life with Sean. I got to give Sean some credit.
Yep.
He's sitting back there. And
My brother Sean. Young Sean P. Diddy Combs, we call him.
Y'all, I love him. He's just like the sweetest human being ever. And I love the fact that y'all work together, brother, sister.
I wonder if Sean loves it.
Yeah. Some days.
We don't have to answer that part.
We won't answer that one. But you've helped the podcast become what it is.
It's hard to even know where you and I should start talking because I know so much and we're together and talk all the time just because not only work, but we're also very close friends and have been for a long time. So it's interesting getting on here because it's like, where do we even start? Because we're so enmeshed right now.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. I mean, if I don't hear from Aaron.
I had a weekend wedding and Savannah's like, are you okay? I was like, I haven't talked to you in 36 hours. I'm good.
I was kind of alarmed. I'm not going to lie. It was like separation anxiety.
I have it too. I get it. But let's give you a shout out. Let's give credit where credit's due. What happened today that's out of the ordinary?
Y'all, I got up this morning. I got ready. I got my bathroom cleaned up.
Let's just say
Before I
you were
left-
still late. But I was later.
You were later.
I was later.
You were later. I called. You called. And I was like, hey, yeah, I'm about to leave my house. You're like, oh, yeah, that's fine. I'm going to be like 10 minutes behind. Y'all, this chick was not 10 minutes behind. This chick was like...
I was about 36 minutes behind. Which
I love how you said 36. Like, not 30, not 40.
I think it was almost exactly 36.
Okay, yeah. So, needless to say, I was on time. She was late.
Yep. And honestly, you do deserve credit because when I come to work, I'm often not on camera. So I don't have to like have makeup on, have my hair done. And I get it.
See, it's a lot, isn't it?
It is.
To have to like put on a face.
Figuratively and literally.
Yeah, 100%. Because frankly, I don't want to be here today.
I know. I don't. You got a lot of shit going on, girl.
For real. But I will say, the past few days have been kind of crazy with all kinds of family stuff, all of that. Yesterday, I took my real estate test for South Carolina.
And passed.
And I studied maybe 2 hours.
Don't tell people. We'll cut that part out.
I'm just saying. It just like
You're going to end up with real estate agents everywhere because they're like, you don't have to study for 90 minutes. Perfect. You're going to have so much more competition. You got to be smarter than that.
Hey, I think though it was easier because of the experience I have in Nashville in real estate.
Well, you'd already studied. You did commercial and residential in Nashville.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and to y'all, I'm not moving to South Carolina. I'm opening an office and gonna Chase and I working together. It's gonna be great and just kind of travel back and forth. I like the challenge. So,
Yeah. Should we set up a podcasting studio in Charleston?
dude, that would be great.
So I want to open another location, and I've been thinking about Charleston.
Y'all, Erin's podcast studio is the best. I mean, it's not even a podcast studio. I would call it like an entertainment studio. The Cast Collective on Music Row here in Nashville, and it's where we film all of our podcast. People like host events here. They do their podcasts, photo shoots. There's so many different things. And we did the whole photo video shoot for my sassy blow dryers and straighteners here.
We did.
So.
We also left here, and I don't want to talk about illegal activity, but we did trespass. It was a misdemeanor. We trespassed.
And technically, no, it was not trespassing. There was not a no trespassing sign.
And it was abandoned.
So it was technically
didn't belong to anybody at this time.
Yes.
But when y'all see Savannah in her beautiful green dress on all of the podcast cover photos,
yes,
we were actually in like a weird, overgrown, abandoned lot.
Yes.
And it looks like we were in like Italy. It
was insane. And this is, y'all, like in a back alleyway.
Yeah.
With a boarded up house.
You were not wearing all-terrain shoes that day. You weren't, and you made it. So good for you.
Oh my gosh, the amount of stories that we have, I really don't even know how to start. Go on, Erin.
Well, no, you can start, but how'd we meet? Am I interviewing you now? Okay.
Yeah, how did we meet, Erin?
We met through two of our closest friends, both yours and mine, MC and Ricky, and you need to text MC when you have a second. I'm not going to be the one to tell you.
The baby today, and it being Mom's birthday. Oh,
it is your mom's
gosh.
birthday. She had the baby.
Oh.
Well, it might have been late yesterday.
I really hope it was today.
Me too.
I really hope it was today.
But
okay.
anyways, two of our closest friends, and so I've known you for a long time. We've definitely become closer in the last 2 years or 3.
2-3 years. I don't know. It's really weird how we did it. It's weird because I moved to Nashville at 17, met Taylor Phillips. That was like the first person.
That was a connection.
Yeah, Taylor Phillips, in case y'all didn't know too, just became like one of the top 100 Music Row songwriters, which is huge.
Taylor's super
He's
talented.
like killing it. So
him and Ricky
talented.
have known each other for years.
Yeah, so he and Ricky have known each other for years. And so I moved at 17.
I met you then. I met you at 17.
That's crazy.
Which is crazy.
Honestly, I always thought you weren't the nicest.
Well, just air it out, Sav. What else you got? No.
Not that you weren't the nicest.
So,
you just have a major RBF.
Do I?
Sean?
Yeah. I definitely am not sweet. Like, you would not come to me if you needed, like...
Consoling.
OMG, like, I love you so much. You're so cute. You're so sweet. You're perfect. That's definitely not my vibe. I'm kind of just... Like, I will love and love hard, which you've seen. But it's mainly
100%.
by example. But it... Like, or not example. By action. rather than like, my mom's always like, you're not sweet, but you're kind, which I think is probably, I don't think she meant it as an insult, and I don't really take it as one because I don't really deliver messages with like a sugary coat. I just kind of tell you, but I will show up.
That is the best way to put it, is you do. Like, you show up when you're not asked to, when you're like, that's how you love people. But it's funny because it kind of goes back to the podcast Holly and I did, and kind of how you like count people out before you ever truly get to know them or give them a chance. And I'm guilty of that. I mean, I feel like a lot of people probably are, but you and I never really like connected. And I don't know if it was because at the time, like age and stuff like that.
Because what are we? We're like 8 years apart.
Yeah. So I don't know if it was that, but how did we like reconnect?
Oh, I know exactly how. I didn't even think about talking about this. So my like background is in documentary style film and sports broadcasting. I went to college at Vanderbilt. I graduated, worked for a company for a few years, then went back to Vanderbilt and ended up as the director of video production for all of athletics. So I did like SEC Network, you know this.
Yeah.
But like, you know, just for other people, sideline broadcasting, like long form documentary style film. Well, when 2020 rolled around, Vanderbilt basically laid off everybody that did media, everybody that was in video for the most part, social, everything, which is, you know, not to call Vanderbilt out, an interesting time to get rid of everybody that could communicate during COVID, because the only way you communicate is social media and video. Yeah. Interesting move, but whatever. I put it out there because I was just like, I put it out there on Instagram. I'm like, you know what? I don't know what's happening right now. Everybody else that got let go was like scrambling to fill out their resume. I was like, no, I'm just going to sit for a second. I'm going to leave it. I'm like, I'm not embarrassed about it. It was a lot of people. And even if you were the only person in your department to get laid off during COVID, it's COVID, like whatever. So I was like, you know what? Like new day, like I think I was running. I'd run the Capitol steps that day, and I posted a picture of like the sun coming up because it was like early in the morning. And I'm like, you know, new day, like don't really know where I'm going next, but like I'll figure it out. Something about losing my job. You responded to me because we knew each other well. And you're like, wait, you do this stuff? Like you do video? Because most people that see me like online, it looks like I just do sideline broadcasting. Yeah. Nobody knew that I did the behind the scenes stuff. And you messaged me. You're like, well, I need that. And you were I got the chills actually just now. You were the very first people to respond. And it was like such a good moment of like learning that you don't have to be prideful about things, to be like, this is where I am, like the vulnerability thing that we talk about a lot. This is exactly where I am. I'm not ashamed about it. I'm just going to put it out there. Because if I had been too prideful to say that, you never would have had the chance to message me, and we probably wouldn't be close. No. As close as we are now. That is so true. You're right.
Do you remember that? I remember that. You posted like, I think it was like a little bit about your background too. Maybe. About like video, whatever. Yeah. And that was kind of my push, because I'd been wanting to do this podcast forever. Yep. It's just been really hard to do it with the show and everything.
Well, you were so busy at that point. Yes. Your makeup line was ramping up. Yeah. I don't even know if it was out. It was probably just launching.
Yeah. I think it was just launching. And then with the show, also not really feeling like I was in a place personally to be 100% vulnerable and talk about where I'm at. And then you posted that, and I feel like it was kind of perfect timing. Like God works in mysterious ways.
Definitely perfect timing for me. Because I went from not really knowing exactly what I was going to do, but I knew that I'd get through it. I just didn't know how. Another thing that we talk about a lot. You don't have to know how. You just have to know that. Yeah. Not that you don't have to. The universe has a weird way. Whatever language you use, whether God's most comfortable for you or the universe or both, all of those things can make sense simultaneously. It's like not really having to know how, just having to know that you have to get through it and you're going to. And you went from messaging me that to like, I worked with you basically weekly every single week since then. Yeah. Which was honestly and we haven't talked about this really, but that was a huge like factor for me financially and job wise that kept me from having to do something that I wasn't passionate about. Yeah. Because you messaged me and I ended up with some stability really quickly.
See, I love that because it was more than just a job. It's more than like, it's brought such an awesome friendship and like family. That's what I say. Like, I don't have friends that are not family. Like,
You've got a pretty close-knit group.
Yeah. Like, my friends are family, and they're people that like I would die for. I sent a meme on Instagram to all y'all the other day, and it was like, if I die, my friends, you're allowed to swear on my grave. I'm giving you permission.
I read that to Sean. We were cracking up. I was like, this is so Savannah.
Yeah, 100%. And I also think what's so interesting about you and I is we will bicker.
We do.
Back and forth, literally like sisters. And we call each other out on stuff and challenge each other. Like, I know you have challenged me a lot in the past year. A lot when it comes to me personally, relationships, work, just all the things.
Yeah.
And there's been some times where some harsh words have been said, guys.
I'm not a sugary delivery, just kind of straight exactly what it is. But yeah, because we've talked about relationships a lot, and I think that I'm also like, I don't feel like we have an age gap. Like, you've been wise beyond your years for a long time, so it's not, I don't have like a little sister mentality towards you. I just have like a sister mentality towards you. And yeah, there have been times where, you know, you'll be making choices about certain relationships or who you're going to spend your time around, and if, you know, I try to wait till you ask me. But when you do, I'll be like, Savannah, you gotta stop. Yeah. That's like our phrase that we always say to each other. We joked about calling the episode that, but I don't know if that's going to do that well on YouTube. Yeah. But just being like, and the reason I say that is not to be harsh. It's been like you saying, it's you receiving and accepting less than what I think you're worthy of. And I know for you, as I've gotten to know you better, I'm not gonna cry right now. I might cry in a minute. But just being like, this is not, you give so much and you give fully when you do. So watching you receive anything less than I think you're worthy of is very difficult for me. Yeah. And I know that that's been something that you've struggled with, is the worthiness factor. And really my harsh words, which they can be, but
we do joke too. It's
we
like,
definitely joke.
You're not harsh.
You're just like,
you say the things that I need to hear that no one else feels comfortable enough to say.
Yeah, I do. I definitely don't filter anything for you, which is not, that makes me sound like I'm awful. But I think just watching, I'm like, Savannah, and this is why, and this is like the weird, and I can connect this all the way back, like the giving off energy and like what you give off is what you receive is very real. I am a quantum physics nerd. I'm a huge dork. Like, I went to Vanderbilt. I had like, you know, studied a lot. Like, I am kind of a nerd at heart, but that stuff is really easy. If it feels like woo and this like far reaching thing, it's really not. Like, that's all actually based in quantum physics. There's a bunch of good books that I can like, I'll put it in the show notes since I do the show, but stuff that you can actually read that can help you understand that like what you give off really is what you get back. And so in your relationships,
I don't agree with that. And that's what's so hard for me.
What do you mean?
Is like, what you give off is what you get back.
Well, okay.
What I struggle with that saying, because I hear that a lot, like, what you put out, you get back. And that's the hardest.
You haven't experienced that.
I haven't experienced that.
Very fair.
And there have been situations to where I feel like I've literally given it my all. I've let my walls down. I've loved really hard. I've loved people to the fullest and been in love with people. And it's hard for me to get there. Like, it's initially really hard for me to get there. And then when I get there and I feel like, holy cow, like I'm here, this is how I feel. And then I'm let down by someone not feeling the same way, or maybe me loving me the way that I need to be loved is really difficult.
No, that's a really good point. And we get really obsessed with these little phrases that seem true. And it's really good to challenge them exactly like you just did, which is, I hear you, but that doesn't feel like reality to me. And I think that situationally, that's not always true. Yeah. But I think we net out where we are. So like whatever you give off, like it can take us 4 to get there, like 4 relation, whatever it is. But just like what I do know to be true, no matter if we net out neutral or not, or hopefully we net out positive in the end of, our existence here. But it's just knowing that if you don't require and know that you deserve something and send out a vibe that you do, it doesn't have space to come in. Because wherever you think that you are, you are. And so rather than being in a relationship where I don't think you're getting what you need, or you're not getting what you deserve, or you're accepting less than Savannah deserves, I would rather you be in nothing and give yourself space to receive something better, rather than continuing to be in those relationships or situations that are at like a lower vibration, I'll get a little woo, than you are.
Yeah.
Because if you stay in those, you're giving off the vibe, this is what I'm receiving, so this is what I deserve.
Yeah.
Be better off resetting, being alone, and being like, give me something better.
And too, y'all, I do want to preface this by saying we're not speaking about any person in particular.
Not at all.
At all. We're just, I feel like this past year has been so much self-reflection and figuring out maybe why Aaron and I are kind of in this a similar place of like, why are we accepting this? Or why did we? Or why don't we feel confident enough? Or because I think for me, what's really hard is to walk away. And that's what I don't get or understand is like, okay, if you write it all down on a piece of paper. I should.
Like a math problem.
Yeah. Like if you write it all down on a piece of paper, it's obvious what you should do. But I feel like, again, I'm not saying I don't make mistakes because I do, but I fully believe that I have a really good heart and I invest.
I know that to be true.
Like I invest a lot in people. And so it's impossible. It feels like it's almost impossible for me to walk away. And I just keep getting like.
Because if you walk away, that means what?
I don't know if it's a selfish thing of like just wanting someone to change because I so desperately want to be with this person or love this person well. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think there's like that holding out hope. So I think selfishly, and too, I think it's hard when, I'm not saying this to be cocky or arrogant but
I'll tell you if you are.
I've never really not been met with if I'm into someone, I've never not been met there.
You haven't like had a lot of rejection on the front end in that sense.
Yeah. And so I think for me, when I start to see it as rejection is the hurtful part, and people play games, which is really hard because it'll be, I love you so much, but, and I'm guilty of that too, of the but, which I need to get better at, but it's, I love you so much, I just can't do this. And again, I'm guilty of it. I just think relationships are so hard.
They are.
It's
really
so
hard.
complex and so hard to know when to walk away and when to be done. And I think the hardest part is how do you walk away when you know you have to, but you don't want to?
I think in order to do that, there has to be a belief that there's something better or more fitting. Like if you don't believe that there's something better for you, then it's nearly impossible. And I'm not saying that you're better than the other person. I just mean that it might not be a good fit for either of you. I know that I've been in relationships where they deserved something that I couldn't give them. It doesn't mean overall that they're better than me or that vice versa. It just means that
you two are not at the same place.
And so in order to walk away from something that you don't necessarily want to, you have to have belief that there is something better. Otherwise, why would you?
Yeah. For years, we've all heard about Advocare. And Advocare is very well known for their Advocare Spark, which enhances mental focus, contains amino acids, 20 vitamins and minerals, an effective amount of caffeine, all while being sugar-free. It also comes in 14 flavors. A lot of questions that people ask are, what's it sweetened with? How much caffeine is there? When would I use it? Well, it's sweetened with sucralose. How much caffeine? 120 milligrams, which is equivalent to a small cup of coffee. We recommend that you use it at least 15 to 30 minutes prior to activity or any time you feel a need. All you need is an 8-ounce bottle of water and 1 stick of Spark, and you're good to go. So there you have it. That's Advocare. Now let's try to unlock your healthiest self by using Advocare's products. That's so true. And I think, too, something that's been really difficult and is when you meet someone, you obviously have those conversations of, this is where I hope to be in 5 years. This is what I want out of my life.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be married. I want to have kids. I want to do all these things. And I will say, Nick and I got to that point of like, he's almost 30. I'm 25. And I used to say, I wanted to be a young mom. I wanted to have kids young.
Yeah.
I wanted to do, like, literally, I would have thought I would have had 2 kids by now.
Yeah.
Like, that's when I met Nick, how I had my life mapped out.
Right.
But then...
Funny how that happens.
Yeah. But then as life goes on, it changed. And I don't want to be married right now. I don't want to have kids right now.
You don't have enough going on?
I know, right? And so then it's hard because it's not fair. It wouldn't be fair for me to hold someone else's dreams back or for someone to change where mine are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where relationships, I think, get really difficult, is when the growth is on different pages.
Totally. It's like, I always say that. It's like you've both got to be running a race in the same direction and like look to your right and be like, we're at the same speed? Perfect. Keep going. Not like someone reaching back for you to be like, catch up, or not you reaching back for somebody to make them catch up. It's like looking in your peripheral vision and being like, we good? Perfect. Keep going.
Yeah.
And so it's just because when you stop and try to pull, that's where resentment happens. That's where someone feels like they're not worthy because they're behind. Like, it's almost like you both have to feel like you hit the jackpot, and you both have to be running. You don't have to be running the same race, but you have to kind of be running at the same speed.
Yes.
But doesn't mean there's not trials and tribulations where you do slow down for each other.
Yes.
You have to ultimately be heading somewhere that's similar.
Yeah.
And then you can definitely be like, let's take a water break.
Yeah.
And
and sometimes you're going to have to pull that other person
or put them on your back.
And I think what you said is like, you both have to be like infatuated with each other. Like, this is the greatest I will ever do.
Yep.
Like, this is, and it's funny. We have friends like that, and they're on their second marriage, second, third. One of them married the same person twice. So I don't know how to count that, and they both came in to the marriage with each other with kids. And I was just spending time with them not too long ago, and I watched how they were with each other, and they're older. They're in their 50s.
Yeah.
And I was like, it made me so happy, and it made me so hopeful because they're infatuated with each other. Yeah. She literally told me, he is the greatest human being I've ever met. She was like, his heart, I just knew. And like the way, how attentive he is to her and sweet, and just like, baby, you want me to do this? You want to go meet for lunch? It was just their relationship. And that also gave me hope that like, it's never too late.
No.
It's even if you are in a bad marriage right now and you're headed towards divorce, or you've gone through a divorce, or you've gone through 2, it is never too late. And watching them, it just made my heart so happy, and it made me realize I want someone to look at me as the greatest, most perfect human being there is, even though I'm not. Well, none of us are.
Yeah.
But for someone to look at you and have so much vulnerability towards you because they love you that much, I think is so amazing. And it's like, I want that, but I also want to be that way for someone.
Right.
Because I'm not soft.
Well, neither. Maybe that's why we get along so well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say but we are. We're both like highly emotional people and feel things that other people feel. Like deeply empathetic, but not soft.
No, but there's part of me, because it's hard in today's day and age, because as women, we're told, if you want to be successful, like, you got to be a hard ass. You've got to have no emotion. You
got to do big things, but don't overshadow other people. Like, you've got to, it's this dichotomy of being a female.
Yes.
You have to be this, but not too much. You have to be that, but not too much. And like, it's just, you and I also get along for that reason. And I'm not trying to change the subject, but you want somebody ultimately that is going to be like, you shine as, without being cheesy, shine as bright. Like, I want to help you be your best self. I'm not worried about you being bigger than me. If you're bigger than me one day in my own mind, that's fine. I can't wait to watch you. Like, do your thing. It's the Marianne Williamson quote. Also, people know it as the Coach Carter quote, but Marianne Williamson is like actually the one that said it. It's like, our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate, it's that we're powerful beyond measure. Like, it's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. And that's the inner part of it. But then she goes on to say, like, who am I to shine? And it's like, who are you not to? Like, when you do that, when you are your biggest self, you automatically give other people permission to be their best self. And to have somebody watch you, like, do that and be proud of you and not threatened by you, not worried about you being bigger or brighter, but being like, hell yes, do you.
Yeah.
And like, let me help, let me watch.
That's the thing. It's because I feel like I'm just now kind of coming into myself and figuring out who I am. And there's part of me that is very sarcastic and that's very like, you know, kind of giving people a hard time. Like, if I don't give you a hard time, I don't love you, you know?
It's the same thing.
It's kind of the same. And there are certain people who are like, oh, that's so unattractive. That's this, that's whatever. And then there's other people that's like,
I see you.
I see you. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. Like, I get that that's who you are. And so to have people who understand who you are at your core is really awesome.
Yeah.
And it's going back to what we were saying about like being a woman in today's day and age.
Time to wake up?
No. That was
no wonder you're late to shit.
Shut up. That was for the 10:45 alarm. But I'm good at 11 because I changed it to 11:15. But being a woman in today's day and age and it's hard to not combine business, relationships, like your personality in each. And I can be a very I don't want to say hard-hearted. I think just closed off and maybe less emotional in a relationship. And I truly don't want to be that way.
I know, I'm the same way.
Because as a woman, like, I want to be able to feel vulnerable and feel like someone else is taking care of me and helping me to fulfill those emotional needs. And I want to feel safe enough to be vulnerable. And I think that's my goal for 2023 is to be a little softer and to not have to be, you know, the loudest person in the room, I guess. In a way.
I think that you think about yourself in maybe like a little bit of a further, like, I think that you think about yourself as a little bit more of your past self.
Yeah.
You think about yourself as being the loudest person in the room. Like, there are times where I'm like, you know, you'll come into a situation. I'm like, Savannah, someone will have plans and you come in like, I want to do this. I'll be like, you didn't invite anybody here. You didn't make plans. You actually just told us 10 minutes ago you were showing up. You don't get to dictate the whole day. But that's like an off moment. That's like a rarity. I don't think you're the loudest. Maybe on TV y'all all competed, but not anymore.
But also, I think the more that we get to know people, the more you realize that being the loudest person in the room comes from, at some point in time in someone's life, not being allowed
or not being heard.
Be the loudest person in the room, or not being heard,
saying your needs as a child. All of that stuff goes back to, a lot of it goes back to childhood.
Yeah, a lot of it goes back to childhood and trauma. And so I think instead of jumping to judgment when someone maybe acts out of character or acts in a way that we don't agree with, if we take a second to be like, okay, wait, that may be coming from a place of hurt.
Almost always, if something doesn't feel like it's coming from a place of love, it's coming from fear. And fear comes from hurting. Fear comes from, we're so molded by our childhood. And it's been interesting, even Sean and I talk about this a lot. My brother, who works with me and is a heavy hand in producing the show.
Yeah.
Like, we obviously grew up in the same household. We have parents that are still married, and watching the way that we dealt with the same thing. We're 5 years apart, but watching the exact same, and also everybody has trauma. This is not a slight at my childhood.
No.
We have an amazing family, but watching just the difference. I mean, we grew up in the same house, and just watching the difference of the way the same events affected us because of our age, because of, just where we were. It's like, it's so molded who we are.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you made me think of something a second ago. Oh, the book, The Untethered Soul. I sent it to you along with some brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tarts.
I mean, I definitely devoured those Pop-Tarts.
Yeah, she opened the Pop-Tarts, just not the book. But this book is like, if you...
You know what? And it's really funny that you bring this up, because I started thinking that it would be really cool to create a Facebook group for this podcast. And maybe...
Are you going to say a book club? I got excited.
Yes.
Really?
Create a Facebook page for this podcast. And then, because we do a lot of self-reflection, and we're all into growth and being better. And there's so many different books. Like, I spoke about at one point this book called The Body Keeps the Score.
Yep, I read it.
And talking about books like that, and then giving people the chance to read it and kind of do a book club of like...
We should definitely do a book club. I'd be so happy.
That, and then like eventually maybe like meet up in Nashville, do little...
That'd be awesome.
I'm going to do a poll and see if people would be interested in that.
I am volunteering myself to be a heavy part of the book club.
That would be awesome.
Yep, it would. Yep. And these, like, because we both have things that have helped us so much. I mean, I'm talking about like, not pick up a read because you're bored. I'm talking about like, there are certain books where I'm like, I am different because of that. And The Untethered Soul is one. And I think that I wanted to talk about with you. I mean, in general, I want you to read it. Obviously, I sent it to your door, and like, it landed on her doorstep. I'm like, did the Pop-Tarts? I did the Pop-Tarts. She would actually open the package, because she loves brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tarts and Dr. Pepper. She eats it every day for breakfast. Why she looks like that, not sure. Probably because you're so stressed you're not eating any more meals throughout the day.
Fair enough.
But this book is like, especially with everything you have going on right now, and we're recording this on, is it the 13th?
No, the 12th. Mom's
12th?
birthday.
Oh, it's the 12th. Yeah. Thursday, January 12th. You have a heavy week coming up this week with things that with your parents kind of hitting the end of this phase, and do they have to enter the next phase, and are you going to have to drop your parents off, and what that's going to be like. And I think our thoughts play such a heavy hand in our reality. And this book, and I'm going to sell it to you right now so that you actually read it. It talks about like these inner conversations we have with ourselves, and that we don't even notice they're going on. Like an example, you're like in the car and you're driving and you're like, oh my God, I forgot to call Savannah back. Like, I forgot to call her back yesterday. I can't believe I did that. And this is all going on in your head. And then you're like, well, she forgot to call you back 2 days ago. Like, it's not a big deal. She won't be mad. And it's like, well, I know, but she had a hard day. How'd you forget to call her back? Like, why are you so selfish that you can't remember what Savannah has going on when you remembered all your own stuff? And it's like, well, she knows that I love her. This is all happening in your own head. And we don't even recognize it. And then when this book makes you step back and realize that, like, it puts you in this place of being the observer of your own thoughts, like recognizing that you aren't the thought. Because if you can see it, it means that you aren't it.
Yeah.
So to step back and be like, now I recognize my own conversations and it annoys me. And when you can recognize it, you don't have to stop it. You just have to observe and be like, oh, like, I'm kind of talking to myself.
Yeah.
And then step back from it and be like, what I described it, and Sean and I, my brother talked about this yesterday. Have you ever been watching TV and you're like so into a show and the light will hit the TV right, or all of a sudden your focus will shift and you'll see your own reflection in it?
Yes.
Or on your phone or through the lens of a camera or whatever. And you're like, whoa, like, have I been there the whole time? Mm-hmm. Like, that's a very like visual way to put it, where you're like in this TV show, I mean, figuratively and literally for you. Yeah. And then your focus shifts and you're like, my own reflections in that same screen. So interesting. And being able to be like, I've just been watching this TV show play out this whole time. But I've also, if my focus had been slightly different, I'm also just sitting there.
Yeah.
So being able to step back from it and be like, okay, like I am not that. I am kind of, I'm experiencing it, but I am not it.
Yeah. You don't have to be what you experience.
Yeah. You're watching it play out too. And just like the freedom that gives you to be like, I am not this all consumed like conversation that, you'll start to recognize it and being like, not being like, stop talking to yourself, but being like, those are just like passing thoughts. Yeah. And your inner voice will talk until it feels comfortable. Mm-hmm. It'll change directions in a heartbeat. It'll change its opinion in a heartbeat it's just trying to settle your nervous system back to something that you feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
And to be like, okay, I hear you, but like, I'm good. Thanks.
Yeah.
And then being able to sit back in silence kind of and quiet the noise.
Okay. I'll read it. I will read it. And I think I do love that idea of doing like a little book club in a Facebook group and maybe challenging each other and to create a platform to where we can come and encourage one another and give book ideas and talk about them and share the growth. And, I know 2023 is there was a study that came out about this new generation and how it's cool to not drink.
Yeah.
And how like the sober curious and all these things. There's a book that I really want to read, and it's called Quit Like a Woman.
Okay, I haven't read it.
The radical choice to not drink in a culture obsessed with alcohol.
Yeah.
And I think I'm just super curious about it.
Yeah.
It seems to be a really good read.
I'll just say to anyone watching or listening to this, like leaving comments on YouTube or on Savannah's Instagram about books that you've read that have been really influential.
Yeah.
I mean, we could just start going through those comments. I mean, we could just even do like a little spin-off book situation.
Yeah. I honestly think that's
a good 2023 goal.
Yes, this is a good 2023 goal. I just want to be more intentional about life and to reading books to help me to maybe understand myself better, my thought process better.
Yep.
And especially with everything that I've got going on and this new phase of life, and we're at the 12th now, so I don't know what's going to transpire between the 12th and the 17th. I know kind of what the 17th looks like as of now with everything with my parents. And all I can do is pray to God that, hey, he intervenes, that there's a miracle that happens with the appeals court, all these different things. But I also know kind of what's coming. And I think it kind of hit me yesterday, and I kind of had a little breakdown, and it was just like, I literally said, like, I feel like my heart is literally breaking into a million pieces. Like, I know what heartbreak feels like.
You do.
And it's like, I miss my parents so much. Already, and they're not even gone.
I know.
And to have that feeling of, it's literally anyone listening, like, I feel like if you've lost someone or just, there's this feeling in your gut that it's just like an anxious, heartbreaking feeling. And it's so hard to explain. And it's something I'm trying to work through. And
do you feel it the most like physically in your gut? Like when something happens, is that where it like hurts?
yeah. Yeah, like I literally just feel like my heart is breaking into a million pieces. And it's the hardest thing I've ever done and gone through, but I know that this next phase of my life is going to be the most rewarding. Mm-hmm. It's going to be the most rewarding, and it's going to allow for so much growth. And for that, I'm grateful. Like, I feel like you have to figure out in every situation something positive to take from it.
Totally.
And that's kind of what I'm trying to do. And luckily, I've got really awesome friends around me. I mean, you've been freaking awesome. And too, there's just times where it's like we just have to laugh.
I mean, you're good at that. And like trying to make light of it. Your whole family is like kind of is that way.
Yeah.
But has adopted that even through this process. You'll have hard days, but I think it's, just y'all being the levity that you guys bring to it, because what else are you going to do?
Yeah.
We're not going to you laugh so you don't cry. You're still going to end up crying. And then also just knowing, you have, and this is an unbiased opinion, but I've been close and gotten to observe what you've been going through. I can honestly say, like, I think I have strength as a human. I can for sure say that I don't think, I would love to think that I could do what you've done in the past, here I go. Year and a half.
Make me cry.
I mean, it's just honestly like, and I have a lot of faith in myself, but I don't know if I could do what you've done the way that you did it. And I think that you deserve, like, I don't know if I'm an ugly crier or not. I'm about to find out when I watch this video. I don't know. I know that the way that you've handled this is, and people haven't seen it. People can say whatever they want to in the comments. If you're mean enough, I'll block you and it won't be Savannah. But is just understanding that, like, you have, no matter if you have hard days, and you need to know that you have done like insurmountable things in the last year and a half that a lot of people would have wanted to give up way before you did. And you'll have a bad day and you get up the next day, you look in the mirror and you keep going. And that's all you can do right now is just keep going.
Well, I think that's the biggest thing is you never realize what you're capable of until you have no other choice.
Yeah.
And I have made a promise to myself that I'm not setting these unrealistic expectations for myself. At least I'm going to try not to. And I'm more of the mindset right now of like, I'm going to get through today. Like, I'm going to get through today, and then I'm going to go to sleep, wake up tomorrow, get through tomorrow. And I think sometimes, we owe ourselves that grace.
Yes.
To just figure it out day by day.
Yeah. And
get through it. And I hope that if anyone is going through anything, whether it's the loss of someone, sickness, financial, legal, whatever it may be, that you've got the strength to get through it. And, I've struggled with anxiety and depression, and especially this past year has been really difficult. And I've just tried to remind myself that, suicide, things like that, that's a permanent decision for a temporary problem.
Right.
And it's just, I just figure out how to do it. I just get up. I've really tried to focus on my faith and working out. And working out for me it just saves me. It's a savior. And
we both are that way.
Yeah, and I'm just blessed to have really awesome people in my life, and I just encourage anyone and everyone to know that, like, you're not alone. We're all struggling. Right. Meet people with kindness, because some of the things that some people have said to me have really stung, have really hit hard, and it's why do that?
Those people that, if you have more grace with yourself, it gives you more room to have grace with other people. Yeah. And so a lot of times those comments are coming from people that are so hard on themselves that they're treating people with the exact same harshness that they treat their own self and their own spirit. And so if you can just have a little bit more forgiveness with yourself, you're likely to do that for other people. Yeah. I will also say to you during this time, and you've been a good reminder for me, because I'm not good at this either, is that there are people that want to help and be able to receive that. And I think I've learned with you that I sometimes just have to, I do with you what people would have to do to me, which is you not asking for it. And I'm like, you know what, you have to do this on Tuesday. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there, and I'm riding back with you. Like, and you could always say, Erin, I don't want you, and I wouldn't be offended, or like, I need to do this alone, and I wouldn't be offended. But understanding that you need to receive help, it would not, I'm not telling you what to do, but that there are people coming in that want to help. And to rephrase it, I've said to you before, be like, Savannah, you know, like if I needed help, would you think it's inconvenient for you?
Heck no.
And you're like, no, of course I wouldn't think it's inconvenient. And I'm like, okay, well, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
So let me show up for you. And then like, let me figure out the best way to try to be there. And if I'm wrong, tell me I'm doing it the wrong way. Yeah. But if I'm ready and able to do it, let me, because you did the same thing for me and you wouldn't think twice.
Yeah. I love that.
I love you.
And I love you.
I'm excited for our book club.
I'm really excited about this. We're going to get this going in action. I mean, I'm more of like an audiobook type person, you know? So like, I'll listen.
Leave it in.
I'll listen. Reading, y'all, I think I'm just like too ADHD for that. I don't know. My mind hops. Like,
you're definitely smart enough to. It's just,
yeah, I think
you can read.
I can read. I think I just have so much going on in my mind that I'm like, okay, where am I at?
Well, you're also moving all the time.
Yes, exactly. I am. But I'm just, honestly, I feel like we could do a gazillion podcasts together because there's so many different things we could talk about.
I know. Yep. This is good. We have deep conversations a lot, but it's different when we're doing it.
For sure. All right, well.
For the world to see. You ready to go to a meeting?
Yeah,
we both got meetings.
I know. I got to go show some houses. So I love you. I love you too. I appreciate you so much. And guys, if you don't do anything this year, just be more intentional and find some really good friends. It's not.
Be nice.
It's the quantity of friends is not important. It's the quality and having good people around you.
Agreed.
So.
I got lucky too. That's the nicest we've ever been to each other. So
I know. Oh gosh.
On that note. Okay, we both feel weird. We gotta get out of here.
I know, that was too nice. That was really good. I love it. I love you. We really could do like a lot. Welcome back to this week's episode of Unlocked. We are now starting our series. Like I explained to you last week, we are going into the criminal justice side of things, hearing people's stories and hearing really how it played out and the truth behind it all, because the media isn't always what it seems. So welcome, Jamal Truelove. Thank you.
Hey, what's going on?
So for those that don't know, Jamal Truelove, he is an actor, but he was also framed by the San Francisco police for a murder and ended up spending 7 years in prison.
Yeah.
Hearing your story, we had dinner last night, and hearing your story was absolutely insane. Like, I mean, it was insane, but also it didn't shock me. Because I've now have seen firsthand how corrupt things can be. But let's start off from the very beginning. Just your upbringing, where you're from, kind of the cards you were dealt very early on.
Yeah, so thank you for having me.
Of course.
Yeah, so I'm from San Francisco, Sunnydale Projects. It's a low-income housing and very... high poverty inside San Francisco. Grew up poor, food desert. Parents, was on crack. Two of my brothers have been shot. One of my brothers been killed. And it just grew up tough in a tough community in San Francisco at the end of the day.
Just from the very start, it was...
Yeah, low resources. And but it was a community, to say the least.
Okay, so grew up in San Francisco, had a very rough upbringing, and then what led to, obviously you ended up getting convicted of a murder. Take us to that point. What got you, how the case started, how you got brought up in it, and kind of put the pieces together for everyone.
Well, growing up in the projects, I wasn't the person who really was like wanted to be known as like a gangster, stuff like that. And
did you view it as like, this is what I've come from, but it's not where I want to be? Like, I have to get out.
Yes, 100%. It was always the mission to getting out of the hood. Right before the incident happened where my friend got killed, I was on the show I Love New York, a reality show, and I was doing music
on MTV.
On MTV, and that was my my opportunity to be able to show my talent and to put my face out there in general. And it was cut short. One day we was out on the block, on the corner, shooting dice and stuff like that. All drinking. A friend of mine was a little too drunk. He went to the store, came back, had a little car incident with my little brother's car, and and he got real aroused and wanted to like try to fight and so forth and so on. That led to some things happening in between when I thought we were all going to leave after. So the conflict didn't blow up. Next thing you know, I look right and I see my friend getting killed by, another friend, to be honest.
So you saw that happening, and it happened, and then where you stayed, you left, what was the deal?
Yeah, so in the hood, like, when a crime happens like
that's
that.
What I was going to say. Last night when we were talking, it's a very different, when you grow up in an environment like that, like, it's not, I mean, let's face it. I'm like grew up privileged and white and like I never saw any of this stuff, but if I saw it, I would be like freaking out. But it's different when from such a young age you grow up in it and you see it and it's kind of the norm.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that wasn't the first murder that I seen, and so it was definitely a norm. But now also the norm is to not stay as well. So I left just like everybody else left. It was like 20 of us out there, just in general. Maybe it was a couple people that stayed, in tears and cried, for what had happened. But yeah, I just left, and so typically in situations like that, they want to blame somebody, right? Mm-hmm. Now, back to like what I was saying, I wasn't somebody who was I was always around. And when the police came, for instance, to like, jack people up on the block and stuff like that, I was a guy who never ran, because I wasn't out there like selling dope and, so forth and so on. And the police didn't like that. And for the person who actually did it, everybody was really scared of him, and
it was one of those things that, like, whoever it was would be scared of being accused of this, but also they're even more scared of the person who actually did it. So you can't flip on people. You can't, or there's consequences.
Yeah, there's consequences. And in this case, the people involved, my friends, Sel Kuka and his family, and some other friends at the time that was friends, they wanted somebody to answer for it. And they were so scared to blame him. They were in hopes that by having this girl, Miss Lula Lamanga, say that I did it, that I will ultimately tell on the person who actually did it. Which, like I always say, that's just not my job, when it comes down to it, to change my life by, telling on somebody else, for a crime that I didn't do.
Yeah.
And it's not my job to, solve this homicide stuff for the police and so forth.
And so from the time that your friend was murdered until the police started contacting you, what was that time frame?
So the police never contacted me, not one time. From the time of the murder to the time I was arrested, it was 18 months. I have ended up going on I Love New York, where I Love New York aired. I was in New York City. I had a image consultant. I was low-key blowing up in music and in the new reality world, just in general.
Yeah.
It wasn't until...
And what year was that?
This was in 2007, going into 2008.
Okay. And so you were in New York. All of that was happening. Wasn't until 18 months later.
Yeah.
How did you find out, like, did you were going to be arrested or you were going to be charged or?
Yeah, so I was in Seaside, over by Monterey, California, taking care of my son. Me and his grandmother had a little dispute or whatnot. She called the police, and that's a whole nother long story. But I'm like, call the police.
Yeah.
So the police come. Police asked me for my ID. I gave them my ID, and then out of nowhere, they're like, "Put your hands behind your back," right? And they put me in the car, and I'm like, "Man, what's going on?" They said, "You got a warrant for murder out of San Francisco," and instantly. I thought of like, okay, they probably want to interview me about what had happened to my friend or some shit. So I thought nothing of it, to be honest. I'll be out in 72 hours because, I'm not saying anything or whatever it may be. But no, when I got to San Francisco, not a detective, nobody ever came to try to interview me or nothing. It was like, yo, you did it. We have this person saying you did it. This other girl saying you did it too, which later on come to find out that the other girl, had told the police that she lied. And this woman is a drug addict, schizophrenia, but in the affidavit that they made and put in front of the courts, they made her seem like, the most credible witness in general. So,
and so for the women that say they saw it happen.
Yeah.
In our conversation last night, you had told me about the lineup that they had given her.
Yeah.
To literally, it's like a scene you would see in Law and Order.
Yeah.
Of like,
6-pack lineup.
Yeah. Just 6 photos. Was it one of these? Tell that story.
Yeah. So the 6-pack lineup was faulty. So on the day that the murder happened, the Priscilla Lulamanga, she went to the precinct, and she had an opportunity to point my photo out on the wall, right? Because she pointed out my little brother's right under it, but didn't, right? Which I guess I could throw this in there as well. When Oliver Barcenas was a kid that was sitting inside the precinct, and I didn't discover him until after I got convicted. He remembered them coming in with her with a photo of, not necessarily of me, he just remembered the last name True Love, pointing at the clipboard saying, "Are you sure it isn't something that starts with a J, True Love?" And it's always stuck with him because he never heard a name like that.
Yeah.
And that's how I ended up, finding him out. And that was something I always questioned, because in the 6-pack lineup that they took to her 3 days later was that same photo, which had me in orange, and the date of it was the date of the murder, and none of the other photos had that same date, and none of the other photos had
them in a jumpsuit.
Them in a jumpsuit. And she knew 4 of the people that was in the 6-pack lineup. So it's already faulty. So that narrows it down only to 2 people that it could ultimately be. And she goes and she says, that looks like the person that could have shot Sale. Is that Jamal? Like, I'm almost 100% sure. All of these things.
She's searching for them to tell her who it is.
Yes, exactly. And then when they finally do, all of that concludes, and they know it's not enough evidence to arrest me. And that's why I was never arrested, because now you have only this one person that's, not 100% sure. And in a case like this, like, you got to be 100% sure.
When it's a murder. And
Exactly.
Normally there is some sort of evidence when it comes to fingerprints or DNA, something else other than someone saying, "Oh, that's that person." Like, there's got to be something else to tie you to it. And there was no other evidence, correct?
No other evidence whatsoever, besides this girl saying it, and then the other girl that they ended up coercing to get not charged for going to jail with a 9mm in her lap and her 9-year-old in the back, and with a pocket full of drugs. You know what I mean? So
it's one of those things that if you help us, we'll help you.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. But when we got to preliminary hearing, I kind of find out her attorney came to my attorney and said she's not testifying. So now they're back in the same position that they was 3 days after the murder, not with enough evidence, with this girl saying that I did it. But, in situations like this, like I get it all the time, right? And our community get it a lot of time. You get arrested for something that's probably not enough evidence, and the DA office, kind of pressures you into a corner to where you take a deal because you're scared as hell to get in life in prison. You know what I mean?
That's where I was going to lead to next is what was the atmosphere at the time in San Francisco when you were being charged and you were convicted? What was the atmosphere then? You were more afraid at that time because of everything else going on in the city, correct?
Yes, 100%. So at the time that I was arrested, I went to jail. Kamala Harris was the head DA at the time. And, her likability for our community wasn't good at all because she was just known for locking people up. And with strategies on how she locked people up. And that's using the school system with truancy, using this Back on Track program that she, kind of picked, paints as in if it's to help people, but it's really a tool to get people to admit guilt,
to a felony.
Get a felony. Now you're on probation, and a felony is really considered a strike, right? We'll let you go, and now you could go back on track. But then convincing people and using her motherly, Black urbanly self, right, to convince mothers, little kids to, and when I say little kids, 20-year-old, so forth, so on, to take deals,
Because and that's what a lot of people don't understand is before you go to trial or maybe at the beginning of trial, they'll say, hey, you know what, we'll give you a deal.
Yeah.
You plead to this, we'll give you 5, but if you go to trial, you could get 30.
Yes.
It's very much that way. So was that ever offered to you?
No, so it wasn't nothing ever offered to me at all. I never talked to a DA. I never talked to an investigator. Nothing ever came my way. I was arrested, booked in the county jail and literally set for going to trial the whole way.
So you went to trial, and when you went to trial, you were obviously found guilty.
Yeah.
And during this whole time, Kamala Harris, did she show up during the whole trial, or did she just show up at certain points?
Yeah, so the only times I seen Kamala show up to my court date is when the verdict was laid down, and then in my sentencing. Now, if she came at any other time, I wouldn't know because they really didn't let me look back into the crowd and so forth. But the 2 times I remember actually seeing her was when the verdict was laid down, and then also when they sentenced me 50 to life. And again, smiling, cackling, and that's an image that I'll probably never get out of my mind, for real. But those are the 2 times.
For a DA is responsible for the prosecutors underneath them.
100%.
The DA is responsible for saying, we're going to try this case. This is what I expect to see from it. That's the role of the DA. Yes,
especially in a murder case. When murder cases, pop up in any city, city at all. San Francisco is only 7 by 7. So it's not like there's tons of murder cases, that's, being charged inside the county jail. So when one comes in, obviously the head DA of the office knows about it. And then they have to delegate that case to an assistant DA, which initially my case was with, I think his name was Robert Flemings, right? And then it switched to Linda Allen. They don't trade each other cases off. They have to go through protocol to be able to do so.
And during this time, while your case was going on, San Francisco also had another scandal the time, which was with the drug labs.
Yeah, the drug lab. There was a big drug lab scandal that was going on in San Francisco that had to do with a lot. And I think the lady name was Moffitt or something like that. But yeah, so she was a woman that was working hands-on with the intake of the drugs inside the lab.
And this lab was with San Francisco.
In San Francisco.
With their police force.
But really just in the lab, this lady, she had a drug problem, right? And whatever else they had going on, the DA office was ignoring it all because the lady's family was calling the DA office, telling them about, how the Moffitt,
the family member.
The family member is on drugs and taking drugs from the lab.
So the lab to where police would confiscate drugs from people and send it to this lab to hold as evidence, she was actually allegedly consuming it.
She was consuming it, 100%. And
this put, hundreds of cases in jeopardy?
1,000. I believe it was like 1,700 cases that had to get thrown out, and people that was in prison at the time because of it. They had to revert their sentencing and release them based off of her potentially being, involved into their case, just in general.
This episode of Unlocked is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. To all my podcast listeners, whether you love true crime or comedies, celebrity interviews, news, or even motivational speakers, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue, right? And guess what? Now you can call the shots on your auto insurance too. Enter the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. The Name Your Price tool puts you in charge of your auto insurance by working just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you a variety of coverages that fit within your budget, giving you options. Now that's something you'll want to press play on. It's easy to start a quote, and you'll be able to choose the best option for you fast. It's just one of the many ways you can save with Progressive Insurance. Quote today at progressive.com to try the Name Your Price tool for yourself and join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. To all the women that are listening to Unlock today, this is something that you want to hear. We all know I am a freak about my skin, hair, nails, all the things. I mean, I tend to be a little vain at times. That's okay. But in case you didn't know, this month is Menopause Awareness Month, which is something that's really not talked about nearly as much as it should be, considering that millions of women reach menopause each year. We owe it to one another to open up the conversation. I know I have witnessed so many women in my life go through menopause, and yikes, what a journey that is. Between all the different side effects, and let's face it, it has a huge effect on your hair. So many women complain of hair loss and hair thinning, and well, that's where Nutrafol could really step in and change your life. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1 million people. 51% of women who have gone through menopause have experienced hair thinning, and that's why Nutrafol created their Women's Balance supplement designed specifically for women 45 and up experiencing hair thinning that can be impacted by hormonal shifts, natural aging, and metabolism changes. So, guys, who wouldn't want to try this? Healthy hair, fuller hair, yes, please. And as a woman, things are hard. Our hormones are sometimes always out of whack, and especially when you're going through menopause. And that's why I love that Nutrafol focused on this specifically. So they now have their Women's Balance supplement that's designed specifically for women 45 and up. And Nutrafol Women's Balance is physician formulated with 100% drug-free ingredients to target hormonal shifts, natural aging, and metabolism changes for visibly thicker, fuller, and stronger hair. Plus, women who took Nutrafol's Women's Balance supplement also reported improved feelings of menopause like hot flashes, sleep, and mood, and reduced feelings and stress. So basically, women, what I'm saying is if you're going through the change and you need a little help and you don't want to piss your kids off anymore, or your spouse, or, your friends, you're a little moody, you've got hot flashes, your hair's kind of sucking right now, go to Nutrafol. With Nutrafol, you can feel supported through all stages of life, from postpartum to menopause. And for a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code UNLOCKED. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and stylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code UNLOCKED. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code UNLOCKED. So there was already so much scandal going on under the administration of Kamala Harris as the DA. There was already so much scandal going on. Then your case came along. You go to trial. You were found guilty. And you were in prison for 7 years. You ended up appealing the conviction. And tell us that process. First off, 7 years, that's a long time to sit in prison.
Yeah.
So you sat in prison for 7 years, and why did it take so long to appeal the conviction? What got you to that point?
Well, it's crazy. It's like you could get convicted for murder in 90 days, but it's going to take you at least a 3-year process to try to get back off of it. So you go through the appeal process, which typically takes, 3 to 4 years. And in my case, it took about 3.5 years. And there's only a 98% chance that you ultimately win your appeal, especially on a murder case, which I was advised, not to have an attorney, to get an appointed appellate attorney.
So you said what? There's a 98% chance you don't win it, right?
98% chance that you don't win your appeal.
Yeah. So you've got a 2% chance.
You got a 2% chance to win your appeal. And it just so happens that I won my appeal. So it took me 3.5 years to do so. I got back.
But when you were in prison, you sent letters, right? To all these different lawyers to take your case?
No, not at all. So
when did that occur?
So that wasn't until I came home. You're talking about my civil attorneys.
Yes.
So, but yes, I did. I reached out when I was in prison. I reached out to the Innocent Project. I reached out to a lot of different projects to try to pick up my case because I was innocent. But I did have a appellate attorney, Mark Zilversmith, who was a phenomenal appellate attorney.
And when was it that you discovered that the evidence they used at trial was tampered with, and the fact that they withheld evidence that could have proved innocence? When was it that you discovered that? And tell us what you actually discovered.
I didn't discover all of that stuff until, with a concrete fact, until I ultimately came home and sued the police, right? Some things I was able to find while I was suing is that that they were writing in pencil, pen, and marker, and they were erasing the evidence that led to my innocence. Also, they wasn't discovering facts towards me, and also one witness that came to the head of the gang task, head of the gang task. A witness came to him and told him, hey, Jamal didn't do it. It was this guy. They took that into the DA's office. And the DA's office did nothing with it. Tucked it under the rug, didn't discover it to us or anything of the sort. They were like, we got our guy, basically. And I didn't find this out until we did the deposition of that of the gang task force agent. And it really blew. It's a Brady violation, obviously, right? But it really blew up way more on the things that they were doing to cover up the evidence as I went through my civil litigation, not so much my criminal litigation.
So once you you appealed it, because then we'll hit on the civil a little more, but you were convicted, 7 years in prison, your appeal was granted, and then they actually retried the case.
Yeah. So they retried me. It took me another year to ultimately go to trial. I had some wonderful attorneys who knew my case, that everybody said that, had told them that I was innocent, Kate Chatfield and Alex Reisman. And, they told me, assured me, they said that, we're not going to go to court a day later than when we're ready to fight it. And and we went to court, went to trial, obviously, and I won. And the strategy on doing so was really, it wasn't even based on the fact, I know what actually happened, right? But I learned real quick, it's not about what actually happened, it's about what you can make the evidence look like. And we came up with a strategy to make the evidence look like as if the shooter had came from the other direction because of where the shell casings were and the trajectory of the bullet wounds. Though what Priscilla has said had happened and that she's seen, she probably did see that. It just wasn't me. But she only seen 2 shots happen where, my friend had got shot. But what she didn't see is the 9 shots shot in his head. So they can't contest to that. But that is the reason why the shell casings were in that row over there. But now we came up with a strategy to say, look, the shooter had to be coming from the down to up because the trajectory of the bullet wounds was from right to left, and the shell casings is right over here on this end. And plus breaking down her credibility and so on and so on. And that's how we ended up winning that second trial.
And do you remember that second trial when the verdict came down?
Yeah. Was
how many days did they deliberate?
5 days. So while they were in deliberation, I'm in the holding tank, so I
especially
could choose.
Too with murder. Because a lot of people listening, you hear a lot of differences, and obviously my parents' case and this. When the verdict came down for us, my parents went home for 3 months and then reported to prison. It's very different with a violent crime and white collar. Sometimes with white collar, they'll take you right then. It just depends on your luck.
If they're raiding your shit.
Yeah, right? It depends on your luck. But with violent offenses, you normally have to wait it out in county jail till you go to trial. Yeah, unless
you could bail out or something like that. But in this case, obviously I'm in jail the whole time until my second trial. And
so when the verdict came down, those 5 days,
I stayed in the holding cell right next to the jury deliberation room. So they're lit it's a wall this thick that separates me from them. Oof. And it's like this slot in the door where I could see just like a little crack. So when they go in and out, and I see they have on the wall almost this map of what the evidence said. And the only things that I could ultimately see was all the negative shit, and it was oh shoot, I thought I was scared that I was going to get convicted again, but after in the jury, they had straight faces. And they didn't give me a hint of how they was feeling, every time they came in and out of trial or whatnot. And so when they finally came back with the verdict, initially on first degree, not guilty, I broke down. I cried like a baby. You should have already spent
7 years.
Yeah, I was already in for 7 years.
And 7 years is nothing compared to life. When you look at it, you were all right, I've already spent 7 years, but I could be spending the rest of my life. And you were how old at the time?